Hi everyone, thank you for joining me once again. Today we're going to meet the story of Nikkal. Nikkal was a goddess of blossoming trees and flowers, of fields and orchards. She walks among her trees and the land is blossoming. She carries the quality of a spring goddess, which is no wonder because she is the daughter of the king of the summer. Someone very special falls in love with Nikkal, the moon, the god of the moon. He sees her as she passes in the orchards and the fields. He sees her from the night sky. It's a he in the Ugric and the Canaanite mythology, he can't take his eyes away from her and he falls in love. During these times, Hirihibi, her father, king of the summer, is looking for a groom, for a husband for his daughter, because it is time for her to be wed, to get married. In a beautiful text called the Marriage or the Engagement of Nikkal and the Moon, we hear the story of the moon falling in love with Nikkal and getting married to Nikkal with the blessing of the Kotharot. In the beginning of the text, her father is calling upon the Kotharot, the same goddesses that we talked about that are dealing with fertility, with mating, with marriage. And he's asking them to bless Nikkal with marriage, with a proper husband, and with a child. The moon hears that. And the moon god is turning to her father and saying, I'm in love with your daughter. Please, I want to marry her. I will give you everything that I have. But Nikkal's father is not easily being persuaded by the request of the moon. He's giving him a pretty hard time. Why, we don't know. Maybe he's not entirely sure that this is the right person for her. Maybe he wants to see that he's serious about his daughter. Maybe he's not very fond of the idea that his daughter will marry the moon and maybe would have to go and live in the night sky far away from him. But the moon is in love and he's very persistent. And he offers a lot of things. Precious stones and lapis lazuli stones, the blue stones that you used to put like in necklaces and jewelry in the old world. He also promises that he would bless her fields, her flowers, her trees with dew, the water that you find on the leaves just before sunrise. And this is very important because we said that the ancient people lived within the natural world. So in their mythology stories, you can find metaphors for the fertility that was needed for the land, and those water kept the plants, the trees, the fruits, the flowers blossoming, giving fruits, especially during the spring and the summer that are very hot in these areas. So the way they saw it, the marriage between Nikkal, that was in charge of the blossoming of all the plants, and the moon, who allowed this natural phenomena to happen, was super important. In the end, her father says, okay, yes, you can marry my daughter. The Kotharot are coming, they're blessing the marriage, and the wedding is being celebrated. Or her mom is some form of a fertility goddess, a local fertility goddess. She makes sure that the moon will pay everything that he promised. Her brothers are coming to the wedding. Her sisters are celebrating with her. We know the text of the engagement and the marriage, the wedding of Nikkal and the moon, as a poem, as a poetic text. But it was more than that. It was also a song. It had a rhythm to that and music, and they used to sing it in old Canaanite and Phoenician weddings. It was considered to be a story of true love. Maybe Nikkal fell in love with the moon as well. There are statues of her sitting in the lap of the moon. But we can't ignore this. In the text itself, Nikkal doesn't speak. We don't hear her voice. We don't know how old she is, or if she's in love with the moon, or if she wants to move to the night sky. Why? We can only assume. First off, in the spiritual world in ancient times, we have goddesses, we have priestesses, they're very important. But maybe during the daily life, the one that controlled and ruled the life of the daughter was the father. And when she got engaged to someone else, It was the decision of the father, not hers, and it had an aspect of some kind of a financial deal. You would pay something for the bride and she would come with her own gifts and resources. It was a way to increase the family's wealth. There's also a chance that maybe we just haven't found anything in which he's speaking, but it doesn't mean that it doesn't exist. Many of the archaeological artifacts that we need are actually underneath places where people live today. So you cannot dig underneath the whole city to find something because people live there. We do know of a great goddess called Ningal in the Mesopotamian area. There she considered to be the mother of the moon god. And there we also know that there was a worship that was only for her. She had temples in Mesopotamian cities, and people used to go to these temples, worship her, and also ask for her blessings. For example, if they had some kind of a skin disease or skin problem, they would ask for Ningal to touch them with the touch of her hand, with her palm, and it would make the disease go away. The touch of many goddesses was considered to be magical. It had magical qualities. If you were sick, if you needed a blessing, they would touch you and you would be better, you would heal. They had a healing touch. There's something that we do find that is related to Nikkal in Ugric, an ancient hymn for Nikkal. If you search hymn for Nikkal or to Nikkal in YouTube or whatever, you would see that it is considered to be the oldest known song. It has music, the most ancient music that we found notes for. And you would see that many musicians are giving it very modern interpretations and listen to them because they're very beautiful. And in this hymn that they used to sing for her in the temples, they would bring her fruits and wine and ask for her blessings for the fertility of the land, but also the fertility of the body or the family. You have beautiful metaphors. For example, just like as the bread is growing in the oven, so I hope a baby would grow in my belly. As we said, the fertility of the natural world around them was a mirror of the fertility that they were experiencing in the way that they worked with the land and also the way that they lived and felt it within their bodies. This ancient hymn is in a language called Hurrian. The Hurrians were people that came from north of Ugric and were part of its very ancient people. They located themselves there, and generations after that, people that were the descendants of those people lived in Ugric. So some of their texts are in this language. And Haim for Nikkal is very beautiful. It sounds something like Chanutani Ashasiwe. I really do apologize if I'm pronouncing it wrong. I don't exactly speak Korean, but it's very beautiful. But those ancient texts could still be relevant to us today. For example, when we're asking questions about the voice of Nikkal that we don't get to hear in the text, it makes us ask questions about today. When do we, as women, but also as people, get to speak up? When is our voice being heard? When are we part of the decisions? Or as a person, what kind of decisions do I make about my life, about the things that are important to me? Where is my voice being heard? Maybe Nikkal wanted to be part of the night sky, to rule over stars, and maybe to rule over the moon, who fell in love with her. And from there she could look on her trees and the flowers on the ground and make sure that they blossom. She was a princess. Now she's a queen. And maybe she wanted to be the queen of the night sky. And maybe she travels wherever she wants to, between the land and the heavens, and the connection between them is super important in ancient world, but also in ours, in natural phenomena, in the way that we react to each other. Phases of the moon considered to have a lot of renewal qualities within them. The new moon, nights without moon, the dark moon, full moon. And in the full moon you can either decide let the emotions fill you, or maybe let go of emotions that you don't need. You can meditate if you like. You can walk outside, or maybe you can sit at home and just get in touch with yourself, spend some quality time with yourself. Go outside, look at the moon, Say hello to Nikkal and try to hear her voice. Thank you so much for joining me, and I will see you next time.